So today we're going to talk about us a little bit, how we got together decades ago.
I'm not that old.
Welcome to the road to SoulJoy Wellness, where a coach and a therapist explore the journey to living your best life on purpose. Here are Joy Williams and Nadine Huesner, your host.
The road with SoulJoy Wellness. I'm Joy Michelle Williams.
I'm Nadine Huesner.
And we're here to, what did we say, Nadine?
We're here to talk about wellness today. Health, wellness, mindfulness, the things that are affecting people, hoping to give them strategies and techniques on how to really manage day-to-day stress. And we're in uncharted territory. This pandemic, those social political issues. So people are really feeling a lot of stress today.
And, we've created this environment. We've created a little stress for ourselves to try this new thing. So today we're going to talk about us a little bit, how we got together decades ago.
I'm not that old.
Me either. But when I really think about it, I'm like, oh, wow.
Yeah, it's been a minute.
And how we both look at wellness.
For our first word of the day, Isaiah 43:19. For I am about to do something new. See, I have already begun. Do you not see it? I will make a pathway through the wilderness. I will create rivers in the dry wasteland. Okay, what do you have for us, Nadine?
My quote of the day, new day, new start. Every day is a new opportunity for you to be different and for you to do different. So let's start our day with new intention.
Love it.
I think, Joy, you have always helped me to be more physically conscious about my health. And I remember the days when you used to drag me out and we would go running around. I think that was City College track.
No, it was Riverbank State track.
I was really not there mentally. But we would do those jogs and we would talk, and those were memorable times for me. And definitely when I think about wellness, I understand that it's not just one part, that there are multiple aspects to health and wellness.
So that's definitely true. I also remember, since we're sharing, that that you kicked that walking to the curb.
So many times I cannot count.
Yeah, well, you told me later, because you were perfectly candid later, that you started scheduling meetings at that time because you didn't want to.
It was a strategy that I was unaware of until after the fact. It's interesting how you find ways not to do the things you don't enjoy. And I've been doing some reading on how to sandwich things that I don't necessarily enjoy with things that I enjoy, almost like dessert after a meal that you may not necessarily want to eat. Remember when you were a kid, your mom or your parents would say, you have to eat your vegetables, and if you eat, you can get this snack. So exercise is my vegetables. I know I have to do it, but then I have something after that I really look forward to. So if I do something that I'm not necessarily excited about, I get to follow it up with something that will make me excited, like sitting on the couch sometimes, but that's another conversation.
So there's no exercise that you really like doing?
No, there isn't. But I do believe my next thing is I want to really get into yoga. I do like to walk, so let me change that. I do enjoy walking. I think my concerns, or maybe that's another subconscious barrier, is that, I don't want to have joint and hip issues, so I'm not going to run. I was like, I don't want to ruin my feet because that's what running will do. But I do enjoy walking, and I have picked it back up. And I do have some girlfriends who, I'm living in Florida, so it's summer all year round, that we do go walking. And when my Fitbit was working, I was doing about 5 miles a day. So then it broke, and then I gave up.
That's funny. So that's interesting. So because I like exercising, so sometimes when I don't do it, I've been out of the habit of doing it.
I remember you, Joy. I was just telling a girlfriend of mine that when we would go, she has the same issue. And I said, Joy would be running around the track, just like, I just got to run through it. I just got to, and you would be itching. And I'd be like, all right, girl.
People who have never experienced it don't know what it is. I remember someone sent a question to a magazine, and they were talking about the answer to this itching was the fabric, and I'm like, nope, that's not what it is. So it's a lactic acid burn, but so that's like the dreadful part. So the way you feel sometimes during that period, like I can feel like dread, like I don't want to start running, like I want to run, but I don't want to do it. I want to run, but I don't want to do it.
And I think also, as we talk about exercise and fitness, I think it's a lot of, like for me, I think emotional health is important. And I think a lot of people kind of avoid doing the work. No, exercise is important and it's something that I need to do because I'm trying to live to 100. But I also can sympathize with people who I work with who struggle with doing the work. Like we want to be better, we want to be healthier, but it's just a lot of work. And nothing in life, I don't want to say nothing, but some things in life are challenging, and it doesn't mean that you shouldn't do it.
So it's interesting because we both came to this wellness, holistic, differently. My undergrad degree is in economics, and then I have a master's in media studies, and then I went to business school, and my concentration was media and finance. And I got into health and wellness because I was diagnosed with atrial fibrillation, which is an irregular heartbeat, when I was 23. So old people were diagnosed with it, but I had it too. So then I went to a lot of health fairs, and I was really bored out of my mind. And when I tell some people that, they're like, especially people who do health fairs. So, but you have to realize I was 23 years old. And then I looked around the room, and most health fairs and people sitting at traditional health fairs are older or they're sick. And I was in the sick category. Found out that we were really, Black people were really not healthy. So that is how I got into it. And I also got into trying to make other people healthy. I also used to teach aerobics.
I remember.
Sometimes now when I'm supposed to teach, I always find someone to teach in my place. But I used to teach aerobics, manage gym, and do all that stuff. But trying to be more holistically healthy, I think it was an evolution of trying to get putting all those things together, and some through like learning about some of the problems we have, and thinking from the faith perspective what we say and how is a conflict between what we say and what the word says and what we do.
I got into mental health. I have my master's. I'm a licensed clinical social worker. And it was one of those fields that I never really thought about it growing up. I just kind of fell into it. And people always ask, well, what made you want to be a therapist? Why are you a therapist? And I just love hearing people's stories. I love hearing people's stories. I love to hear, how did we get here? And it was just a natural fit. And knowing that, being a person of color, I'm from the Caribbean, so, back in Jamaica, there was nothing as mental illness. It was just like shamad, right? Which just meant that you just dismissed a person when they were suffering. And I think with learning these techniques and these strategies as a clinician, I realized that no, she's not mad. She just needs, techniques and skills he or she needs that to help them be a better person. And we put so much shame and embarrassment in seeking mental health as a sign of weakness. And we're one of the few cultures that, until recently, the stats have definitely changed, that kind of rebuked it. But we had so many challenges with substance addictions, drugs and alcohol. And that's because we were unwilling to recognize emotional pain. And I get it, just the whole journey, why that's so. I love helping people, working with people, giving them the tools so that they can be their best selves.
So there's a connection because I got into media because I liked the stories, and I wanted to tell stories. I wanted to tell more stories of Black people, people of color, women and people of color. So that was my, elevator speech. Why did you want to do this? And then I like, even in doing health and wellness, I try to tell stories. I think people connect more to stories than just so even if I'm creating a story without knowing the particular people, to create a visual. So when I talk about maternal and infant mortality, especially in the Black community, it's one of the many things that we suffer the most from. When I say that a Black woman with a PhD has a greater chance of dying in childbirth than a white girl who has not finished the 8th grade, it puts a picture in someone's mind better than me just giving the stats on X, Y, and Z.
Well, my journey, Joy, I struggled with having children. You were there every step of the way. And, the doctors were very dismissive. They're like, oh, it just happens. That's what it is. And, you were the one who gave me the stats that, no, your chances of having a child are equivalent to some, a non-person of color with a lesser education. And I was like, well, dang, my economics, my access to healthcare, all of that meant nothing in my ability to be able to bring a child into this world without struggles.
Yeah, and it's not what you think. Like, you think you do all these things, you'd be in a better situation, and that your odds would be greater. No, and it's clear in medicine in so many areas that we're dismissed and our pain is dismissed. And there's not a standard set of criteria what people look at. So that's how I started some of it and saying, okay, how are we going to make this better? Because it's not getting better by itself. And the thing that we have a tendency to do is do community service for other people and not for ourselves. So we're both members of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority, but we do a lot of community service for other people. And we think we're doing service for people who are less fortunate. But in this instance, you can have all the money in the world. Like Serena Williams had issues and treated properly. So we are excited to start this journey of doing our podcast. We're going to change and evolve, and we've created a little environment for ourselves, and it'll change, and we'll have how we deal with a little stress from the single woman, no children perspective to the woman with
mom and children, and a lot of other stuff.
We got a lot more to do.
A lot more to do. We'll be back. See you soon.
Thank you for joining us on this episode of Road to SoulJoy Wellness. We hope you enjoyed the show. Please leave us a review on Apple Podcasts. We love your feedback and a chance to answer your questions, and we may even share your ideas on the show. Until the next time, enjoy your time on the road to SoulJoy Wellness.